Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to you, depending on whichever part of the world you are tuning in from. I welcome you to yet another promising edition of the Forex Morning Mastery with Sheriff Daramola. It has been quite an interesting 24 hours for us here in this community as we were able to scoop in significant amount of profit, especially along the XAUUSD, which moved significantly well in the last 24 hours. We are going to be deliberating on that, see how we took advantage of this opportunity and how we are going to be managing our positions for today. And of course, the USDJPY too did pretty well. And of course, the GBPUSD, though we really have not seen something very significant on that particular asset. Well, in preparation for today's trading session, I have already conducted a comprehensive price action based technical analysis on all of these assets for today. And in fact, I'm very excited to share with you the simple setup I was able to come up with, as we are going to be using this to guide our trading activity for today. And in fact, for those who are with me on both my Trading View and Telegram platform, you will definitely have gotten an update in that regard. Well, for those who are joining us for the first time, you highly welcome. I'm very glad to have you around with us here this morning. And you might be asking, what is it that we are doing here? Well, we come together as a community in anticipation of both the London and the New York session, where we, of course, review our positions, see how we can manage our current position, and while we also strategically position ourselves in such a way that we can capitalize on any potential opportunity lining up for us during the London and the New York session. So we do this on a daily basis. 8:05 a.m. UTC is when the streaming will start, and of course, I encourage you to stay tuned in so that you don't miss out on any of the interesting ideas I will be dishing out with you guys this morning. And of course, the more time you spend with us, the better you will become in understanding how this works and eventually be able to use this information to make your own independent trading decisions on your own account. We always deliberate on the 1 hour time frame here on the Forex Morning Mastery, but this asset we are attending to today has already been analyzed in detail. I have a top-down analysis I normally share during the course of the weekend, so I encourage you to watch those videos to have a better background or a better understanding of what we are going to be talking about today. How did we get to identify these key levels, these major trend lines, and these major chart patterns on the higher time frame? In that video, you will be seeing everything in detail, and of course, it can also serve as an educational guide in better understanding how to use price action to identify potential trading opportunity. So I have the link right in the description box of this current video, so I implore you to watch them, and in fact they are duly timestamped so you can easily navigate to whichever chapter of the video is of your interest. So once again, you are highly welcome on board. Well, before we begin, I would like to know in the comment section, I would like to have some feedbacks. What is the sound quality looking like? What is the video looking like? Is there any freezing? Is everything going smoothly? Please let me know right in the comment section so that I can know that we're all on the same page, and if there is a need for me to do any necessary adjustments, I will be able to do that in appropriate time so that we can all have a better experience out here. So with the groundwork set, let's jump right into the business. So as usual, the first thing we are going to be doing today is to check on the economic calendar. And for those who have been with me for a while now, we know how important this is, as these fundamental factors often manifest on the chart in technical patterns and price movements. By monitoring the economic calendar, we can easily identify potential correlations between key economic releases and, of course, specific technical patterns, hereby giving us valuable information that will help us in positioning ourselves strategically and in such a way that we can capitalize on any potential trading opportunity prior, during, and even after this event. And what we normally focus are high impact events coming in from the economies that affect the assets on our watch list. And these are the United States, the United Kingdom, and of course, the Japanese economies. So for today, Thursday, August 24, we have a very high impact event coming in, and that is the Jackson Hole Symposium, which is coming up all day today. In fact, it's already started already, and it's going to be lasting about 3 days. So we are going to be having it on Thursday, Friday, and of course on Saturday. And for those who don't know what the Jackson Hole Symposium is all about, well, it is a significant annual gathering. It happens once in a year where central bankers, economists, and financial market participants come together. It offers a platform to discuss critical economic and monetary policy issues, of course, at the long run, impacting the market sentiment as well. Then, of course, the Fed chair is going to be speaking. Powell is going to be speaking. Lagarde is going to be speaking. That is the ECB governor who's going to have a speech today. So it makes this event very, very important. And majority in the market wants to be looking forward to this event to have an insight into the monetary policies of these major economies, and of course the health situation of these economies too as well. And of course, everyone in the market will be looking forward to hear what the major participants in this symposium will be talking about. Then we also have the consumer price index coming in from the Japanese economy. And the consumer price index is considered as an inflationary measure impacting the purchasing power of consumer and of course influencing market expectations about the central bank's policy and interest rate of that economy. So for today, this is going to be happening very much later in the day, and that's about let's see, I think about 15-16 hours from now this is going to be happening. And from the data we have here, the previous data came in at 3.2%. And of course, I didn't mention generally a high reading is considered as positive for that assets that we are looking at. So in this case scenario, we have the Japanese yen, and of course you know that we have been monitoring the USDJPY, and of course we want to be seeing how market participants in that market will be anticipating this event, which of course is going to be reflecting on the chart as price action. So the previous data here came in at 3.2%, and we have economists projecting a 3% for the month, for the year-on-year for the month of August. So we are going to be looking forward to what the actual data is going to be. Will it be as expected, below expectation, or even beyond expectation? But most importantly, as technical traders, what we want to be doing here this morning is to sniff through the current market structure to identify patterns and structures that we are going to be using to anticipate this event. And of course, the way the participants anticipate this event will reflect on the chart, hereby evolving and transitioning into a significant setup that we can use to manage our positions on these assets for today. So with the information we have gathered here, I'm here to get a feedback in the comment section. Please let me know in the comment section that the sound quality and the video quality is quite good, as this gives me some confidence that we are all on the same page here. So I will really appreciate some feedback. Just a comment or two will be fine. I will really appreciate, and thank you in advance as you do so. So with that being said here, let's dive right into the business for today. And as usual, we are going to be taking on the first financial asset for today, which of course is going to be the GBPUSD USD. And in fact, in the last 24 hours, the GBPUSD had done pretty well, but it's not as significant as I have expected. And in fact, it has even gone against the fundamental expectation I explained here yesterday, as we were expecting that price action will go bullish. Remember yesterday we saw our price dropped into that ascending trend line. Let me zoom this in a little bit so that we can see things clearly. So we had a couple of ascending trend line which has been respected since the beginning of last week. So if I give a visual representation of what I'm talking about here, so we have a couple of ascending trend line within the last 6 to 7 days, as you will see here. And in fact, you know how we use our trend lines in this community. As long as price action remains above the ascending trend line, we of course want to be looking out for patterns and structures that will support the idea of buying that asset. So yesterday we had a retracement into structure. Remember, we saw this old move right here, price moving into the structure. And during the early hours of yesterday, we begin to see some buy pressure resume around this area, giving us signs that we might likely be seeing a situation where price will be respecting that ascending trend line one more time to push price to the upside. And in fact, I told you how we position ourselves just right above the 1.275, and of course we had a buy position triggered, but unfortunately that position was taken out in a loss as we saw price action drop significantly well to the downside. And of course we had our sell stop order right below the 1.27250 as projected. As we said, if price breaks down the ascending trend line, we of course want to be on standby to capitalize on that bearish momentum. And that gave us about, let's see, how many pips move did we have there before the bullish momentum began. So we had about 110 pips move, and of course we capitalized on that opportunity by adding more position as price action broke down levels such as the 1.267 and the 1.262 to capitalize and maximize the potential of that bearish move. And for those who have been part of this trading opportunity, well done to you for being on standby to capitalize on that move. Now, as we head into the New York and London session today, what is going to be our plans? How do we intend to manage our positions here? Are we going to continue selling the GBPUSD today, or are we going to be getting ready to buy this asset? And in fact, if you are with me on both my TradingView and Telegram platform yesterday, I told us all that I wouldn't be buying at that point in time when we begin to see that buy pressure resume around the 1.262, as you will see here. And the reason why I said that was simply, I stated that in the comment. I said that price still remains below that descending trend line we spotted here yesterday. Remember, we had a descending trend line after connecting the series of lower highs, and you know how we use our trend lines in this community. As long as price remains below that descending trend line, we have no business buying that asset. So I told us all to wait. If we can find a significant bullish setup, then we might probably be part of that move, but never did that happen throughout yesterday. And in fact, in the last 12 to 13 hours now, we saw a scenario here that is looking very, very interesting. So for those who are with me on both my TradingView and Telegram platform, you already have an update in that regard. But for those who are not, let's run through this quickly and see how we said we are going to be managing the GBPUSD for today. So these are my commentaries on the GBPUSD so far this week. This is how we have been positioning ourselves for trading opportunity. Okay, so this is right here yesterday. I told us all that all sell positions have been successfully closed with profit. However, I'm exercising caution regarding potential buy position at this point, as price action still remains below the descending trend line. So that is what I said here yesterday evening. So we were not able to trade throughout yesterday evening after that sell position was taken out. Now, this morning I shared this update here that a sell position has been initiated, capitalizing on the retest of the descending trend line. It seems that the retracement of the bearish impulse leg, which commenced yesterday, has been completed. As we maintain a bearish stance, it is essential to secure the position while price action remains below the descending trend line. So let's run through this quickly on the live chart to see what I'm talking about here. Now, remember yesterday we said something about price action coming back to retest structure. Now, we saw the breakdown of this level here yesterday, testing that trend line into the 1.262. Had I mentioned something here yesterday that for those who had missed out on this breakdown of structure, that we are going to remain patient for price action to come back and retest that level to give us signs that we are going to be joining the downtrend continuation. And of course, the market was kind enough, as you will see, price came back into the structure, as you will see, around the 1.27250. And as soon as price got into that level, what happened here? We begin to see some selling pressure resume around this area, giving us signs that price action is likely going to be respecting that descending trend line one more time to incite a downtrend continuation. And for those who had capitalized on this move, well done to you for being on standby to catch that opportunity. Now, at this point in time, we have roughly about 25 pips, 26 pips in profit at this point. And if you saw my comment this morning, I made mention that we should move all stop loss to secure the current position. And at this point in time, it will be quite reasonable that we move all stop losses to our entry point at this juncture in time, and let's see how the market would react below that descending trend line. And remember that we have major macroeconomic events coming up today. We have the Jackson Hole Symposium, which is coming up today, and I think we also have one more event from the US economy. It's a medium impact event, and that is the weekly jobless claims report and the durable goods order. So I then include that. Let's run through that quickly so that we can all be on the same page here. So I will be including the medium impact event right now so that we can see that there are other major events coming up today. So we have the this is not it. So we have the durable goods order. We have the, hold on a second. Okay, so we have the durable goods order, which measures the cost of orders received by manufacturers for durable goods order. Then we also have the initial jobless claim count, which is a measure of the number of people filing first-time claims for state unemployment insurance. Now, the lower this data is, the better it is for the US dollar. So we have some two major events coming up today, and that is going to be about 3 to 4 hours from now. And of course, whatever happens here will be a platform ahead of the Jackson Hole Symposium. So let's see how this is going to be affecting the market. So let's ensure we move our stop losses, move it to break even at this point, and let's see if the price will continue to go further to break down the 1.267, where we want to be adding more sell position. And of course, a final breakdown of the 1.262 will be that move that will further emphasize the strength of the sellers here. And remember how the 1.26200 area had been a buy niche at some point during the course of last week. So a further breakdown of this zone is going to be that very significant move we need to confirm that sellers will be pushing price further to the downside, at least for the later part of this week. So on this one, on the GBPUSD, we hold on to a bearish bias as long as price still remains below that descending trend line. So let's see how far this move is going to go. Now, when we consider the major events happening today, it is always pertinent that we also take into consideration the potentials of the buyers here. Now, what is it that we're going to see on this chart that will make us want to start considering buying this asset and negate the idea of selling? Well, Remember, we talked about this bearish trend line we spotted here yesterday after connecting the series of lower highs. So this is going to be a major determinant of price action for today. So you do want to be marking out this level on your chart, as if price remains below that structure, we hold on to our bearish bias. But if at any point in time today we cite a breakout of the structure coupled with the breakout of the 1.27250 and our key level at the 1.271, then we are likely going to start considering a momentum shift at this juncture. So for us to consider buying the GBPUSD, I want to see price action break out of this zone, and then a retest of structure with the appearance of buy pressure will be all we need to be part of a bullish momentum here. But I doubt if this happens. But if it does happen, we want to be on standby to capitalize on that move as well. But remember that once a breakout happens, we are not getting too excited. We are not having a buy stop order there. We will need confirmations to happen before we jump into a position. So once a breakout happens, we need to cite a retest of structure, which obviously we want to be looking out for on a much more lower time frame, like our 5, 10 or 15 minutes time frame. So that is how we are going to be managing our position here on the GBPUSD for today. So I do hope you will be marking out these levels on your chart and be on standby to capitalize on any potential opportunity that comes in here. So if you have any questions whatsoever, feel free to let me know right in the comment section. So I will be taking the next 10 to 15 seconds to see if there are any questions whatsoever, while you can also use that time to mark out these levels on your chart. Hello, Jim Diaz. Okay, good morning. Thank you very much. I really appreciate your feedback. Thank you and glad to have you around. Adeniyi Babalola, thank you very much for your feedback. I really appreciate that. Okay, Richard, how are you, Richard? Good morning to you and glad to also have you around too. Trust you are doing very well. All right, so in the absence of no questions, I want to assume that we are all on the same page and we already have our levels marked out on the chart. So we shall be moving right into the next financial asset on our watch list. So the next asset on my watch list is my favorite, of course, the XAUUSD, popularly known as the gold spot. And in fact, the gold spot has done pretty well since the beginning of the week, as we have continued to keep on buying and adding more position to this asset, as currently we have over 600 pips in profit on this single buy position we have here. And in fact, for those who are taking advantage of this opportunity, well done to you for being on standby to capitalize on this move. Now let's run through how the week started for us here and how we indeed took advantage of this opportunity. What incited the idea? What did we see that made us consider buying these assets this week? And of course, it will also help us to understand how to use price action to identify potential trading opportunities on whatever chart you see. Now, on the XAUUSD, for those who had watched my video, you would have gotten an insight into how we position ourselves ahead of this week, but I still implore you to watch them. Very important, because I wouldn't be going into the higher time frame because of the short time I have here. Now, looking at the structure on the 1 hour time frame from an holistic standpoint, we saw that in the last is it 4 weeks, 3-4 weeks now, price action had been on a very, very strong bearish momentum, very, very important. And then we saw the lower highs, and of course when connecting it, we had this couple of descending trend line, which we agreed that we are going to be using to guide our trading activity for this week. And of course, as long as price remains below that trend line, we want to feel confident selling the XAUUSD. However, something interesting happened last week that made us to change our bias and seeing that sellers are gradually losing that momentum, and that happened around the 1,885 level. Now, if you look at this structure closely, since last week Thursday, we begin to notice a shift in the momentum. Now, look at what happened here on Thursday. We saw that as soon as price got into this area, sellers struggled at every point in time. We saw what happened here on Monday. We saw what happened later on Monday during the New York session. We saw buy pressure coming around this area. And what does this simply tells us? It tells us that this area could turn out to be a buying platform as sellers have struggled to continue that momentum that started at the beginning of this month. And as a result of this, I was of the opinion on Monday that we are likely going to be seeing the breakout of the descending trend line. And in fact, on Monday, we had the privilege of joining a buy position after citing the breakout of that descending trend line. And prior to the breakout of that descending trend line, there was a range which was spotted here between the 1,891 and of course the 1,885, which gave us a flat channel to work with. And you know how we use our flat channels in this community. As long as price remains within the channel, we wait patiently for a signal in the form of either a breakout of the resistant line for buying opportunity or breakdown of the support line for selling opportunities. Now, with the situation here, we saw the breakout of the first trend line happened. As you will see here, price moved about 70 pips that day. We moved our stop loss, closed in some modest size of profit before this bearish momentum began. Price came back into structure and we saw the resumption of buy pressure again. We positioned ourselves again right above the 1,891, and this move alone did break out of that major descending trend line to emphasize the strength of the buyers in this market. And in fact, we had a couple of positions open there. Remember, we had one position triggered at the 1,896. We had another one at the 1,900 before the bearish momentum came in, taking us out of that buy position with about over 100 pips on that single move. And yet on Tuesday's live session here on the Forex Morning Mastery, we identified the potential retracement of that impulsive move. And I said here that for those who are counter trend traders, who are comfortable taking short-term trades, scalpers to be precise, that we are going to be looking out for selling opportunities below the 1,900, which could be a technical expectation of the breakout retest of the trend line. Remember, from a technical standpoint, when we have a breakout of structure, we expect that some point in time price is likely going to come back and retest that structure. So we opened the idea for counter trend opportunities there, but I told you I'm not going to be part of that move, as I will wait for price action to come back into my structure here, where I want to be looking out for buying setups to join an uptrend continuation. For counter trend traders who took advantage of that move, well done to you for capitalizing on that. Now, something interesting happened when price came back into our descending trend line here. Of course, normally I normally wait for a bullish setup to come in, something like a reversal pattern. It could be the double bottom, head and shoulder, or falling wedge, whichever case it may be, before I want to be jumping into a buy position here. But unfortunately, that did not happen, so I missed out on that. How many pips move was that one between here and here was about 50 pips move there. I missed out on that one, but I placed myself right above the 1,896, which of course I told us all on our platform. And for those who are with us during the XAUUSD live monitoring window on Tuesday, you had that opportunity to capitalize on that move. And then we had levels, of course, we said we were going to use to maximize the potential of this move. So we added more positions, had the breakout of the 1,900. We also added more yesterday at the breakout of the 1,904, which gave us this phenomenal move all the way into the 1,923. We also added one more here, had the 1,918, which was projected yesterday also during our XAUUSD live monitoring window right here on this channel. So for those who have been part of this profitable journey, well done to you guys for being on standby to have capitalized on that move. So for those who will still have a buy position running at this point in time, you know how we do it here in this community. We want to be moving our stop loss right now to secure our current buy position. This is for those who already have a buy position. So at this point in time, I will be advising us to move all stop losses anywhere below the $1,917.15 level, and of course the $1,913.50 area. We want to give enough room for price action to breathe here. And of course, if you look at the strong impulsive move that started yesterday after the breakout of the 1,904, I'm of the opinion that a retracement phase might seem long overdue here, as those who had bought that price at the 1,904 might want to be doing some profit taking activity, which would reflect on the chart as a retracement move. So ensure your stop losses are moved right now. Secure this position in case price action does a retracement phase. We don't want to be part of that one, and we want to be part of a new momentum that brings price to the upside. So the next thing we are going to be doing now is to review how we are going to be managing our XAUUSD this morning. Now, I already shared a commentary. For those who are with me on the XAU, on the Telegram and the TradingView platform, you would have gotten an update in that regard. So for those who are not, let's run through that quickly and see what we said we are going to be doing this morning as regards to managing our position for today. So this is how we have been managing the XAUUSD since the beginning of this week. It has been quite an interesting journey for us this week so far, actually. So let's run through this quickly. So this is what I said here this morning on the XAUUSD. So I said here that with an impressive price movement exceeding 600 pips, our fourth position has been triggered through the anticipated breakout above the 1,918 level. This was identified during our XAUUSD live monitoring window. For those who are with us during the XAUUSD live monitoring window, you must have marked these levels out on your chart, aligning with our projection from yesterday. As we continue to navigate the market, it is essential to secure this position while remain vigilant for forthcoming trading opportunities. On the horizon, we anticipate the impact of the weekly jobless claims report, which we talked earlier, and durable goods order from the U.S. economic docket. Furthermore, the eagerly anticipated Jackson Hole Symposium, featuring speeches from the ECB President Lagarde and Fed Chairman Powell on Friday, is to exert a substantial influence on this market. So this is where being patient is very, very necessary at this juncture, because anything could happen and some volatility could happen, because any statement they make here could impact the emotions in the market. And of course, we want to be on standby to capitalize on that momentum too as well. So now let's go right back into the live chart. So now we have our buy position secured currently. Please ensure you do that. Now, with the way situations are going right now, what is it that we are going to be looking at? So the first thing here is this ascending trend line, which was spotted during our XAUUSD live monitoring window yesterday. So we had an ascending trend line which has been respected since Monday of this week. We saw the first touch here. Though we saw a little bit of a breakdown here, price came back up, and since that moment, we have been witnessing a situation here where price had consistently respected that trend line, making it a very significant level to look out for trend continuation patterns around this level. So now if we go into the current structure here, we cannot ignore the potential of a retracement phase at this point in time. And one of the reasons why I said this is for those who had bought this XAUUSD surprise move, since it's a surprise move actually, that bought it at the 1,896, the 1,900 or the 1,904, who had bought it at a cheap price will at some point start considering selling to make some profit off those positions, of course, after which we will see the reflection on the chart as a retracement move. And as a result of this, there are the tendency of a breakdown of the 1,918 cannot be ignored here. So there are likelihoods that we could have a situation here where price will break down the 1,918 back into the trend line where the appearance of buy pressure could incite an uptrend scenario. So we want to consider this into our plans too as well. And if you look at that area, it's around the $1,914.15 level, 50-cent level rather. You want to be marking that level out on your charts sincerely, as if you look into the past here, you will see how that level also had been a buying niche at some point in time. And interestingly, that same level also shares a beautiful confluence with that ascending trend line, making it a crucial confluence for us to look out for uptrend continuation if price action breaks down the 1,918. Personally, I'm not going to be selling anywhere below the 1,918 here because the momentum in this market is still very, very bullish. But if you are a scalper, you feel comfortable taking advantage of short-term trades, well, you might want to take advantage of that short move. But personally, what I will be doing here, if price does break down the 1,918, I will just wait at this bus stop to see how the market would react to this trend line. So if I notice buy pressure around this area, I want to be getting ready to be part of an uptrend continuation. However, if price now drops below the $1,914.50 level, then at this point, I want to start considering a momentum shift. And if this happens and I get a confirmation like retest of structure on my lower time frame, sincerely speaking, I want to be part of that bearish move either into this trend line here. Remember, we have a major trend line here which will be dovetailing to, let's see how many pips that is. Okay, minimum of 150 pips to catch there if price action does finally break down the $1,914.50 level, which also shares a confluence with that ascending trend line we spotted here yesterday. So this is how I'm going to be taking advantage of any selling opportunities around this area. And of course, if you look at what has been going on here since the early hours of today, we have been witnessing some selling pressure with the intent of a potential retracement likely going to be happening. So we want to keep that in mind while we monitor price action around here. However, we cannot ignore the potentials of buyers at this juncture too, as well, as the price has been very bullish since the beginning of the week, and the chances of a continuation to the upside is higher than selling at this point in time. So in that regard, I have a buy stop order above the 1,923 to capitalize on an uptrend continuation. Now, there is one thing about this. For those who have been with me for a while now, you know how we do this when we are joining an uptrend continuation. Now, if you have been with us since the beginning of the week and you've been profitable so far, then you can afford to leverage on the profit you had made so far this week to test waters above the 1,923. So in that case, you can have a buy stop order above that level to capitalize on that uptrend scenario. And if it doesn't work out, we know that we are only leveraging on the profit we had made so far this week. So we're still going to be on the positive side of our portfolio. However, if you are joining us for the first time and you are joining this XAUUSD trade for the first time, that is, you are coming in from a clean slate, then I would advise you to wait for the pattern to confirm before you jump into any position here. Now, what do I mean by confirmation here? So we want to see price break out that structure, retest the 1923 on our lower time frame, cite some buy pressure there before you want to be jumping into the uptrend continuation at this point. So this is how we are going to be managing our trade here on the XAUUSD. It's a simple setup. We don't need to overthink it out. Just mark out these levels on your chart and allow price action to evolve and transcend all the structures to jump into any position here. But if you do have any questions or you need me to clarify certain aspects of my illustrations here, feel free to let me know in the comment section, and trust me, I am here and willing to be of help in that regard. And once again, congratulations to everyone who has been part of this profitable journey. I will say the XAUUSD is one of the most profitable trade for us. It's the most profitable trade for us so far this week. So well done to you guys. So I will be taking the next 10 to 15 seconds to see if there are any questions whatsoever before we move on to the last asset on our watch list for today. All right. So in the absence of no questions, I want to assume that we are on the same page here. So we shall be moving right into the last asset on our watch list. So the last asset on our watch list for today is the USDJPY, and in fact we're beginning to see some interesting setup gradually unfold before our eyes right here. But before we go into that, let's quickly run through how the week started for us here on the USDJPY. And for those who haven't watched my video on the USDJPY, watch it so that you can have a better understanding of how we got to this point, and of course use it as a educational tool in understanding how to use price action in identifying potential trading opportunity on the market structures. Now, at the beginning of the week, in my video, we had this key level at the 145.00 area, which of course you know how we use our key levels here. When price remains above the key level, we look out for patterns and structures that support the idea of buying that asset. Now, in addition to that key level here, we had a range which was initially identified at the beginning of the week. So we saw price confined within the 145.490 and of course the 145.150 area to give us an insight into the level of indecision in this particular market. And you know how we do it whenever we have this kind of flat channel. We want to wait for price action to either break out of the resistance line or break down the support line to give us an opportunity to trade. Now, in addition to that zone, we had a descending trend line which we spotted and came in from last week Thursday's session. As you will see, we have that trend line marked out, and of course it was one of the major parameters we were using to guide our trading activities on the first day of this week. And one interesting thing we saw within that range we saw here was the breakout of that descending trend line with an engulfing bullish candle, which was a sign for us that a trend line may no longer have the capacity to continue to negate that bullish momentum. And as we saw this, I think we saw this and we were around here during our live session on Monday, I told us all that since we have a breakout of the trend line and of course the resistance line of that flat channel, we saw price come back to retest structure followed by consistent buy pressure. It was time for us to be part of the breakout of the 145.490 to join a bullish momentum, and thank goodness we were part of that bullish momentum. As you will see, we joined right here. We added more positions at the breakout. Hold on a second, let me zoom this in. So we had a added position at the 145.650. We added another one at the 145.950, and of course we also added another one at the 146.300, which of course went into a loss after this before the sell momentum began. And of course we also anticipated that bearish move as we begin to notice that buyers are finding it difficult to break out of this 146.300. So we saw some shooting star candle, I think a couple of shooting star candle, which was a good sign that sellers are probably gaining some momentum here. So in that regard, we anticipated the breakdown of the 145.950 as an area we shall be joining that bearish momentum. So we saw the breakdown happened, and in fact the market was kind enough, as we saw here, that for those who had missed out on this opportunity, the market came back to retest that structure to incite the downtrend continuation. And for those who took advantage of this opportunity, well done to you for being on standby to capitalize on that move. So since this week Tuesday, we have been selling the USDJPY, riding the move all the way downside, adding more positions at the breakdown of very important levels such as the 135.650, 145.490. We also had the 145.150 and of course the 145.00 area to capitalize and maximize the potential of this bearish move. And for those who had been part of this opportunity, well done to you for being on standby to capitalize on that move. And of course, if you had moved your stop losses accordingly, like we always preach here in this community, that when price moves significantly well in our favor, we want to be moving our stop losses to secure the position. And if you had done that, you must have been taken out from all the sell positions in this particular market. So now that we are going into the New York session today, what is going to be our plans? How do we intend to capitalize on any potential opportunity that the market presents to us today? So I shared a commentary this morning on the USDJPY, so I would love us to run through that commentary quickly and see what we said we are going to do on this asset and how we are going to be positioning ourselves ahead of the London and the New York session. So this was my commentary this morning. For those who are with me on the TradingView and Telegram platform, you will have gotten this update in that regard. So here I said, having capitalized on a 300 pips decline through 5 sell positions, we now observe price action undergoing a retracement phase. My assessment points towards a continuation of the downtrend as today's prevailing theme, provided price activities remain situated below the confines of the descending trend line. Nonetheless, it is prudent to recognize the influence of upcoming economic events that possess the capacity to challenge this technical outlook. As we stand at this crucial juncture, exercising discretion in our trading choices is important. Should the price break retest the descending trend line, we will consider the possibility of exploring buying potentials. Now let's go back into the live chat and look at this critically well. Now, if you look at the structure and considering how price action has been playing out since Monday, following the continued selling pressure we noticed around the 146.300, which happens to be the highest level where price action has been for this week, we saw how price went through lower lows, lower highs, and lower lows in this market. And as a result of that, we had a couple of trend lines, which I spotted here, which of course is going to be a major determinant of price action for today and at least for the second half of this week. Now you know how we use our trend lines, of course. It's not new to you. As long as price remains below that trend line, we'll continue to look out for selling opportunities. And right now, price still remains below that descending trend line. So of course, we want to continue to hold on to a bearish bias here. And if we look at what happened here yesterday, we saw some buy pressure. Despite the strong bearish momentum, we saw some buy pressure around this area, around the 144.750, giving us clues that buyers might likely be coming in. And in fact, we had a reversal pattern here in the form of a double bottom structure. And those who are trading the Asian session might have taken advantage of this opportunity. But personally, I'm not feeling comfortable buying around that area, considering the fact that price still remains below the descending trend line. So at this point in time, I want to consider this bullish move that we saw here since the early hours of today as a retracement of that impulsive move that brought us to this point. So at this point in time, what I will be doing here now is to remain patient. This might take about 2 to 3 hours before the formation happens. It may be or it may not. Of course, we want to be as open as possible, be on standby and on alert to capitalize on any move here. So I want to be using the 145.490 as a barrier, as I want to see how price will be reacting to this confluence here. As you can see, we have a beautiful confluence between the 145.490 and of course that descending trend line there. So let's see how the market would react to this confluence. Now, there are two ways to this. The first one is we could cite a breakout of the 145.490, which will give us a bullish signal and want us to get ready to buy. And of course, you know that we are not going to be getting too excited here. We are not having a buy stop order at all, because the breakout could still turn out to be a false breakout. So truly, we want to make sure that this breakout is a true one. And to do that, we will need some confirmations to happen. So as soon as we witness the breakout of that descending trend line, we shall scale down into our lower time frame, 5 minutes, 10, 15 minutes time frame, and then look out for some confirmation which would reflect on the chart as price action retesting either the trend line or the 145.490 to give us an opportunity to join the uptrend continuation. So that is the only condition at this point in time that will make me want to be buying the USDJPY. And of course, we have tendencies of multiple entries here, as we have very important levels like the 145.650 and the 145.950, and of course we also have the 146.300. that is the highest point price action has been for this week, to add more positions if we ever have a breakout retest of these levels. So this is how we are going to be capitalizing on bullish momentum here. Now, in as much as we're looking out for buying opportunity, we cannot ignore the potentials of sellers. So when price gets into this confluence here between the descending trend line and the 145.490, if we begin to see selling pressure around that area, it could come in the form of double top structure, something like this. We could have a little breakout of that structure, price coming back, and then we begin to see continued selling pressure. I'm of the opinion that we want to be part of the downtrend continuation, position ourselves strategically to capitalize on that move, and also use these levels we have here to maximize the potential of that bearish move. So we have the 145.150, as you will see here. To add more position, we have the key level for the week at the 145.00, we have the 145.700, and of course we have the 144.750 to add more position if price action continues to drop further to the downside. So these are my views here on the USDJPY. Very simple setup we have here. All we just need to do is mark out these levels and allow price action to do what it does, and whatever it does around these confluences will determine whatever our next line of action will be. So I don't know if you have any questions whatsoever as regards to my explanation, or probably since the beginning of today's Forex Morning Mastery, you might have any questions. Feel free to drop them in the comment section. So I will be taking the next 10 to 15 seconds to see if there are any questions before we move in to draw the curtain on today. So let's see if we have any questions, and we get prepared for the closure. All right. So, in the absence of no questions, I want to assume that we're all on the same page here. So, it has been a wonderful moment with you guys. We were able to treat three major pairs today. We had the USDJPY, the GBPUSD, and of course the XAUUSD, popularly known as the gold spot. And we were lucky enough to have simple setups that we can use to guide our trading activity, and I'm very confident that if we allow our setups to mature, we shall be on standby to capitalize on potential trading opportunities for today. And please don't forget that we have some impactful events coming in from the United States and of course the Japanese economy, which we deliberated on earlier today. So in that regard, we want to ensure that we secure our current positions that we have running at this point in time, as there could be some tendency of volatility happen in this market today. So let's ensure our positions are well secured at this point in time. And for those who are joining us for the first time, I hope you are able to gain one or two things from what we discussed here today. But trust me, the more time you spend with us, the better you get to understand how things works here, and eventually be able to use the information you have gathered here to make your own independent trading decisions. As we round off, I would like to state here that I already dropped the link to the XAUUSD live monitoring window, which will be coming up in about 5 to 10 minutes into the New York session. So on that platform, we come here to monitor the XAUUSD chart, look out for interesting positions that we can use, manage our position as well, while we also look out for more opportunities. So I would like you to be part of that session. The link is in the comment section right now. Click on the link, click on the notify me button so that you can get notified as soon as we come online. Thank you very much. And for those, if you had not liked this project, please do. If you have found the content helpful and useful in making your independent trading decisions for today, kindly support the project by clicking on the like button. Your likes are valuable to me, and in fact, it also helps the YouTube algorithm to notice this video and push it to a wider audience of traders who may find this content beneficial to them. Thank you in advance for doing so, and I look forward to seeing you right in the comment section on both my Trading View, Telegram, and of course during the XAUUSD live monitoring window, which will be kickstarting when the New York session begins. Thank you very much for liking and supporting this project, and I look forward to seeing you in the comment section, and always as we continue to monitor price action. Do have a wonderful evening, everyone. Bye-bye.